Welcome to another podcast session. In our session today, I would like to talk about the inner dialogue or the conversation we have with ourselves and the key role it plays in our life, especially to do with our mental health. So, if you have ever found yourself thinking or you've catched yourself telling this to your own self, why is it that I have to go through this? Or why is it that I only have to suffer like this? Or it can be, why it's just me, it's all the time me, it just happens only with me. These are some of the expressions of very common self-talk we have with ourselves. But oftentimes, most of us do not realize that the great impact it's creating in our mind and our overall well-being is compromised. If we go back a few years down the line, and if you recollect the various do's and don'ts our parents have been telling us since our young years, or any religious values that are being taught to us, the do's and the don'ts that we've been constantly told by our caregivers, parents, teachers, scholars, etc., etc. Actually, this is a combination of all together that forms our beliefs. And sometimes when they take shape of negativity or a negative mindset, there where we have our limiting beliefs, which actually stems from, stems from this inner conversation we are constantly having with ourselves. So friends, pay attention. Pay attention to what you tell yourself. This is not only very important, but it will help you in the long run have a healthy mind and a healthy body. And I'll tell you how. So if you ever find yourself stuck in a negative web of thoughts, beliefs, or you feel you have a low self-confidence, low self-esteem, struggling, constantly beating yourself up, you need to take a pause and pay attention to what is it that you're telling yourself. Because our brain, it works in the most complex ways. And within the workings of our brain, we have a subconscious mind, which is actually responsible for 95% of our thoughts. And the repeated things that we keep telling ourselves that forms our beliefs. So today, I would like to share with you a very simple method through which we will first learn to identify what is it that we are really speaking to ourselves. Because before we get to learn how we change our limiting beliefs to a positive one, how we really clean this mess up that has been built up in our brains for a long, long time, we first need to understand what are the basics of really exploring and identifying what is it that we tell ourselves. So it's not very complicated, very simple. What you need to do is just use the template that I've shared along in the comment box, which has just two columns. In the first column, it says, what happened? A question mark. The second column is asking you to write, what did you tell yourself? So in your day-to-day life, or let's say pick up 10 days from now, anytime you find yourself very irritated, frustrated, or going into a web of negative emotions, just pause, pull your journal or this sheet where you have written what happened and what did you tell yourself. And that beneath what happened, just write. Just write what really happened, the incident, and don't worry about structure or anything of that sort. Just simply write. And then next to it, during that event and even after that, what is it that you told yourself? This is one of the very, very simple yet very powerful and a basic way of first identifying and exploring what are the inner conversations we have with ourselves. You first need to identify your self-talk to then rectify it. So one of the examples I'll share with you, and it's also there in the template that I've shared. Let's say you had a minor conflict while you were waiting for your turn at the cafeteria in your workplace. Now, this was the event. This you could write under what happened. Then what did you tell yourself at that point in time? Obviously, you waited there patiently, but hearts of hearts, you were fuming. You just said, I don't know why it just happens with me only. All the time this cafeteria is like empty. The moment I came in, like that's a huge queue and I have this annoying person who's just not moving aside and constantly arguing with the person at the counter and making you go late for your lunch. So I'm just giving a simple example. You could write whatever you feel. Give yourself a week or a 10 days time. You don't have to write everything, what's happening in your life for the next 10 days. Instead, pick up all those events wherever they take you to a negative emotional experience. So when you write that, and when you also write, what did you tell yourself during that event or maybe even after that, and you go back and read your responses after the 10-day capture of your self-talk, you will realize the humongous amount of negativity you've been feeding your subconscious mind. And as I mentioned earlier, our subconscious mind is what is responsible for our 95% of our thoughts and the beliefs we hold. So no wonder if one has been constantly criticizing oneself the past 10 days. I'm just taking the 10 days data. And this is what you've been feeding your mind, your subconscious mind, on a regular basis. That's exactly where all your negativity, your low self-esteem, your low confidence actually stems from. So let's do this. And in our upcoming sessions, while you now have learned just the first step to identify your self-talk, I shall come back to you with more powerful ways to not just identify it, but also find the best solutions to replace this negativity with a more healthy and a positive mindset. Till then, take care. Thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you soon.